morning, everyone. Welcome to today's study call. We're continuing on with our study of Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend, and we're going into chapter 5 today. Yesterday we finished off chapter 4 in talking about how we are a creative center of basically the universe, and that if we're experiencing anything in our environment that is not satisfactory with us, that there's not anybody else that we can blame but ourselves, because we have created that. And there was a lot of other things we talked about, but that's one idea that we learned about in that last chapter. But let's go on with chapter 5. So chapter 5, titled Expressions from Beginners. Hundreds of persons have realized that visualizing is an Aladdin's lamp to him with a mighty will. General Foch says that his feelings were so outraged during the Franco-Prussian War in 1870 that he visualized himself leading a French army against the Germans to victory. He said he made his picture, smoked his pipe, and waited. This is one result of visualizing we are all familiar with. A famous actress wrote a long article in one of the leading Sunday papers last winter, describing how she rid herself of excessive body fat and weight by seeing her figure constantly as she wished to be. A very interesting letter came to me from a doctor's wife while I was lecturing in New York. She began with the hope that I would never discontinue my lectures on visualization, making humanity realize the wonderful fact that they possess the method of liberation within themselves. Relating her own experience, she said that she had been born on the east side of New York in the poorest quarter. From earliest girlhood, she had cherished a dream of marrying a physician someday. This dream gradually formed a stationary mental picture. The first position she obtained was in the capacity of a nursemaid in a physician's family. Leaving this place, she entered the family of another doctor. The wife of her employer died, and in time the doctor married her, the result of her long pictured yearning. After that, both she and her husband conceived the idea of owning a fruit farm in the South. They formed a mental picture of the idea and put their faith in its eventual fulfillment. The letter she sent me came from their fruit farm in the South. It was while at the farm that the doctor's wife wrote me. Her second mental picture had seen the light of materialization. Many letters of a similar nature come to me every day. The following is a case that was printed in the New York Herald last May. Before I read what was printed there, I just wanted to stop for a moment. There's not a lot there that I want to talk about. They're just basically case studies that she is relating of people that use this ability of visualization and got what it is that they were desiring, what it is that they wanted. And so she's just using these case studies to indicate this idea that there is something to this, that if these people have been able to go through this process of visualization and they got what it was that they were visualizing in their mind, then there must be something to it. There must be an opportunity for you and I to get what it is that we're looking at getting out of our own visualization, and that it would be of paramount importance for us to learn how to use this so that we can visualize and get our desires. All right, so let's read what was in the New York Herald. Atlantic City, May 5th. She was an old woman, and when she was arraigned before Judge Clarence Goldenberg in the police court today, she was so weak and tired she could hardly stand. The judge asked the court attendant what she was charged with. Stealing a bottle of milk, Your Honor, repeated the officer. She took it from the doorstep of a downtown cottage before daybreak this morning. Why did you do that? Judge Goldenberg asked her. I was hungry, the old woman said. I didn't have a cent in the world and no way to get anything to eat except to steal it. I didn't think that anybody would mind if I took a bottle of milk. What's your name? Asked the judge. Weinberg, said the old woman. Elizabeth Weinberg. Judge Goldenberg asked her a few questions about herself. Then he said, well, you're not very wealthy now, but you're no longer poor. I've been searching for you for months. I've got $500 belonging to you from the estate of a relative. I'm the executor of the estate. Judge Goldenberg paid the woman's fine out of his own pocket and then escorted her into his office, where he turned her legacy over to her and sent a policeman out to find her a lodging place. I learned later that this woman had been desiring and mentally picturing $500, while all the time ignorant of how it could possibly come to her. But she kept her vision and strengthened it with her faith. In a recent issue of so it's a little bit longer of a story, and it shows you that, I mean, had she not been destitute, had she not stolen the milk, she wouldn't have found herself in front of the judge. And had she not found herself in front of the judge, she would not have collected the $500 that she was mentally picturing. Now, I'm not saying that, we're all going to go destitute or things like that so that we can get what it is that we're desiring, but that God or the universe, or however you want to call it, is going to arrange things in such a state that the thing that you're desiring and picturing is going to come to you. You see, that woman didn't go seeking out the judge. She found herself in front of the judge. And so whatever it is that you're desiring, and I mentioned this last time, that you don't need to go out and seek for it. You don't need to go out and find it. You don't need to go out and do anything for it other than pay attention to what's in your environment right now and take action on what's in your environment right now to beautify it, to make it better, to improve upon it. And the things that you're desiring in your mind will seek you. They will come to you. And it might even be some miraculous set of circumstances that may bring it to you. Now, I've attended a lot of seminars and done a lot of study and different kinds of things like that. And I've had many coaches and mentors that have had these almost serendipitous, is what you would call it, events that took place. It was because they were holding in their mind what it is that they wanted, and these things came to them. I'll share another one, or I'll share one from a mentor of mine. His name is Dr. Joe. And Dr. Joe said that he was on a plane and that he bumped into somebody that had something for him that he was desiring. I think he wanted to go do wine tasting or something like that in Italy. And he'd bumped into this person and they'd given him their card, and he was going to get in contact with him and be able to go and do this wine tasting in Italy that he was really desirous to go do. And a short time later, he was looking for that business card and he couldn't find it. And he thought, well, it came to me once, it'll come to me again. And so he just visualized this card coming to him again. And now I think it was like 6 months to a year later, he was doing one of his seminars in Italy, and the hotel where they were at was packed. There was no room there, and because there was another conference that was going on at the same time. And it just so happened that the lady that had originally given him the card was attending the other conference in this hotel. And he ran into her, got her card, and then eventually was able to go do that wine tasting that he was desiring. Now, the circumstances and the serendipitous and all of the things that had to come together for her to be in that same hotel a year later, because he's not from Italy, she's not from Italy. They just both happened to be there at the same time in different, capacities, and run into each other. And so whatever you're holding in your mind can come about and can be yours if you hold that mental picture in your mind. All right, let's continue on. This is going to be a short study for today. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll keep it a short study today. Tomorrow is kind of a shorter chapter as well. So we'll just keep it short and give you some good filling stories to strengthen this idea that these principles work. In a recent issue of Good Housekeeping, there was an article by Addington Bruce entitled "Stiffening Your Mental Backbone." It is very instructive and would benefit anyone to read it. He says in part, form the habit of devoting a few moments every day to thinking about your work in a large, broad, imaginative way, as a vital necessity to yourself and a useful service to society. Huntington, the great, let's see, so I think that's all. Yeah, so she's just talking about how these principles are being taught out there. Huntington, the great railway magnate, before he started building his road from coast to coast, said that he took hundreds of trips all along the line before there was a rail laid. It is said that he would sit for hours with a map of the United States before him and mentally travel from coast to coast, just as we do now over his fulfilled mental picture. It would be possible to call your attention to hundreds of similar cases. The best method of picturing to yourself that which you may desire is both simple and enjoyable, if you want to understand the principle back of it well enough to believe it. First and above everything else, be sure of what it is that you really want. Then specialize your desire along these lines. So she ends it off with this thought of something that I've expressed before, is that whenever you're going after something, whenever you're trying to visualize something, whenever it is you're trying to manifest something in your life, you need to have a clear mental picture of what it is that you're desiring. That's the very first step. And then the next step is to add to it an uplifted emotion of what it would feel like once you actually achieve it. So take some time every day, even if it's only for 5 minutes, whatever it is that you could spare, to mentally picture what it is that you want and add to it that emotion. And if you can do that every day, sitting and focusing on that, and then as you're going throughout the day, if you have a moment or you catch yourself with a little bit of time, bring up that mental picture again, bring up that uplifted emotion, and continue to reinforce that idea to yourself, because the more that you do that, the faster that thing is going to be created and come into your life. All right, we'll end today's study a little bit early, but I think it's helpful to understand and to hear these stories of other people that have thought of something and then imagine something in their mind, and then that thing came to them. That serendipitous events brought themselves together so that then they could have the pictured desire of their heart and their mind. So with that, we'll end today's study call, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.